Welcome to another episode of
The Epic Family Road Trip.
This episode is part 2 of our RV walk around and our explanation of how we've been able to live on the road for the last 2.5 years with this 24-foot RV and towing our beautiful Jeep and all the equipment we use. So I hope you really enjoy it. I hope you find it informative. Here we go.
And if you haven't seen part 1 yet, you can check it out by clicking the link right over here.
Hey, I'm going to show you around the rest of the RV. I'm going to talk about the cab, a little bit about the engine, and the outside of this beautiful machine. So, we've got 103,376 kilometers on here. We bought it brand new in 2016, actually in 2015. It was a 2016 model. And it's been an amazing machine. We've towed a Jeep around the US and Canada several times now, from coast to coast. We've gone all the way up to Alaska. We've gone all the way out to the end of Newfoundland, as far south as you can go, to mile 1 of the Florida Keys, and every state and every province in between. So we're very happy with this. It's a Mercedes Sprinter chassis with a 6-cylinder Mercedes engine. We haven't had any problems at all. We're still on the original brakes, believe it or not, even with the tow. All we do is the regular maintenance. So the nice thing about a Mercedes, we'll just start it up here. The indicators here on the screen will tell you everything you need to know. It'll tell you how many kilometers left before your next service. And so as long as you do the regular maintenance and bring it to a Mercedes dealership, and we've done that on the road as we've traveled. They know the right kind of oils and they know all that, unless you're an expert, which I am not. So yeah, we haven't had any problems. It's very efficient, the 6-cylinder diesel, and it is a diesel. It's got navigation here, which is built for an RV. So number one, it'll tell you if there's low hazard warnings ahead, like low bridges and so on, and it'll route you around them. So it'll make sure you don't get, if you use this, to make sure you don't get into trouble with low bridges. You've got a backup cam, which automatically turns on when you put the vehicle into reverse, but you can also at any time just hit the cam button. So if you're towing, while we're driving down the road, I like to keep an eye on the Jeep and the surfboards on top and just make sure everything's good in the back. One thing, you put it in drive, and to go easy on the brakes, that's what I do. You can kind of gear down with it's this little Taptronic, I think they call it, and you can gear down just by tapping. So when you're coming in and you're going slowly through town, rather than hammering on the brakes, you can do a balance of brakes and use the engine to slow you down. So that's been a really good thing about this. So when you get into sight and you get parked, you get leveled up, these are incredibly handy little screens. A lot of RVs you have to put a blanket of some sort or a curtain. These ones just fold away and come out very easily, and they're very private. The brake is a collapsible brake, so you administer the brake and then you can just push that down and the brake stays on. If you want to release the brake, you push the brake, the main brake, push this button in, pull up a bit and release. So now the parking brake's off. But I can show you how it works. You administer the brake and just collapse the handle, and that allows you to turn the seat. So I've worn out these seats. That's a lot of driving, a lot of sitting. They're very, very comfortable, but I think I'm gonna hit up Mercedes for a new set of seats because these ones are completely worn out. But there's a little button back here that you push and you spin the chair around and you can adjust it. And now it becomes part of the living space. So this whole cab is well utilized. And that, again, in some RVs, these don't rotate, and so you're wasting all the cab space, and their curtain goes across here. This adds 3-4 feet to your living space. That's been one of the best features. And I think that's it. I'm gonna turn it off and come on outside and I'll show you around the outside. So let me show you under the hood. There's not a lot you need to do under here. If you're doing regular maintenance, it's taken care of by Mercedes, but you will from time to time have to top up the oil, and I'll show you how to check the oil. They do have a dipstick here, but they have an electronic oil check, which makes it so you don't have to get oil on your hands. And the other thing you'll have to top up from time to time is your DEF, which is diesel emissions fluid. You can buy it at almost at any truck stop, any gas station. And I think it's every 10,000 kilometers or so, but the indicator will tell you it's getting low. You stop, you fill that up, and you check the oil. Everything else, like I said, oh, and of course windshield washer fluid, which you need when you're driving through buggy areas or in bad weather. So other than that, everything is taken care of on the regular maintenance. For instance, the last one, they replaced the air filter just to keep the engine robust and strong. So I'll show you how to check the oil electronically, and that's about it under the hood. So to check the oil, you just scroll through the buttons here. The first one is coolant temperature. The second one I was explaining before, it tells you service B is due in 22,000 kilometers. So we had just got a service done recently. And then you get to the engine oil, and it says engine oil testing in progress, and then observe wait period. So it takes a little bit of time, and then it'll come back and indicate whether the oil level's okay, or if you need to top it up. All right, now that you've had a peek under the hood, I'm gonna start here and work my way around the RV and show you everything you need to know, at least from my perspective. So the diesel fuel, how do you fill this up? It's hidden behind a door here, so no one can steal it. Let's take a look. So in order to get access to the diesel, you have to open the front door and then flip this little door back, and there you go. Now it's the wide nozzle, so you can fill up in a truck station. A lot of diesel vehicles just have the small one, which is, you know, for cars. But the nice thing about this, any diesel pump works, small or large. Make sure you use the ultra low sulfur diesel as much as possible, and not a lot of biodiesel. For some reason it says 5% mix or no more than that. I'm not sure if that's changed now in the newer vehicles, but this is a 2016 model. So here you can see the side out is out. That's how, when we park, of course, that comes out. It gives all the extra room inside. I'm going to ask Carol to pull it in to demonstrate. Hey, Han, can you pull in the side? So she's pulling in the side. Now, you have to turn the key all the way on and then make sure the brake is on before that will activate. And there it is, it's in. Now, it has a really neat system on top. A weatherproof covering, so for snow or whatever, you could be parked under trees, there'll be leaves on top of it. As it goes in, it rolls this way and all the leaves fall off. So I like the design there, very happy with that. So the next thing you need to know is right here is where you fill up the propane. Now there's a 20-gallon propane tank, and it's built into the chassis, so you can't actually access the tank, but you can fill it here. So this is the little door. This is where they fill, of course. And then you make sure your emergency shutoff is turned off, and then there's an air bleeder here, which you turn to open and allow the air to escape while it's being filled. We didn't do that when we first got it, and what would happen every once in a while, we'd get an airlock in the system, and then we couldn't use the stove until the air was bled out. So we learned by keeping that open while they're filling, we haven't run into that problem since. So that's just a little trick we learned along the way. All right, so here we have 2 storage doors, but 1 cabinet behind. It's actually one big long storage cabinet, which is great for things like snowboards. In fact, that's what we have in here now. Come and take a look. So we have actually 4 snowboards in here. We've had 5 in. Things like a hose, we've got snowboard helmets in there, snowboard boots. This is a ramp for the black water pipe. But yeah, there's 3 or 4 fishing rods laying in the back there. So you can utilize it for anything, but it's the full length that you see here in the back. So we've got all season tires on here, and we've replaced them once in the 100,000 kilometers, or at around 60,000 kilometers we replace these tires. But they're dualies on the back, singles on the front, of course. And then for leveling, some trailers and RVs have automatic levelers or crank levelers, but with this unit, because it's so easy to drive up onto blocks, we just purchased these little level blocks, these yellow blocks, and if you're leaning a bit this way, like this area was, we put 2, 1 under each wheel, 1 in the front. We drive up on it, and now the motorhome's level. So that's the leveling system. So in this back area here, this is where the black water, gray water, electrical, and TV cable is situated. So you've got your black water dump under here. You don't see it right now, but that's where you hook up the hose when you're at a RV park and you've got a full service site. Under here you have a handy little hot and cold water shower, which is great if you're at a beach and everyone's sandy. That's what that's mainly for. And then there's a water filler here. And then in the back of that, you've got your 30 amp electric, which right now we've got dragged out back to a generator, which I'll show you in a minute, because we're boondocking, we're not at a full service campsite. And there's a TV coaxial cable there, which obviously doesn't work out here in the boonies, but at a campsite from time to time, they have TV service. All right, so let's show you inside here. Okay, so here's how you fill the water from any hose water source. Of course, potable water. Don't ever put dirty water in there. I've got a pressure gauge behind that, a pressure regulator, because you're hooking up to so many different water sources. Some of them could be really high pressure and you don't want to blow anything in your plumbing. So buy one of those. They're only about 10 bucks, a pressure regulator. And then you switch this from normal. When you're on somebody else's pressurized water, you have it on normal. And when you want to fill, you go down to tank fill. And that fills up your tank. Right now, like I said, we're boondocking, so we're going off our own water tank. We filled it up from a water source and we're working from that. They've got pretty large water tanks on here, and we'll put the specs down in the description of the actual sizes. Next, you have the gray waste tank, and that's everything from when you're washing dishes. It goes into the gray waste, and then you've got the black waste, which you can figure out what that is. And so these levers, once you hitch up to your waste dump here, you pull those levers and it empties the tank. Again, the actual specs and size we'll put in the description later. That's all you really need to know under here. There is a handy little light for working at night. The switch is up top there. So like I said, it's a 30 amp system here. This cord, when you pack it up, you actually plug it into this outlet here, so that when the generator's running, and I'll show you the generator in a minute, it powers the machine. So you can be going down the road and you can run your air conditioning or your convection oven, and it's running off of the generator. So let me show you how we power it right now in the field. So this is the cord that comes out of the motorhome, and it looks like about 25 feet, which is plenty for any kind of an RV setting, RV camp setting. We bought this extension, so this extension cord runs another 40 feet or so, and I'll show you. We've got the generators down here. So with this long 30 amp extension cord, it allows us to bring the generators far away from the RV so that we can't hear them inside. But these are very quiet anyway. These are Honda EU 2000s. This is the main one, and this is the assistant to it. And when you put the two together with this tether cable, you get 30 amps. Now the reason we went with two instead of one, there is a 4000, which is one piece, but we went with two because we do a combination of RV travel and overlanding in our Jeep, and we don't need 30 amp for the Jeep, so this is ideal. It's easy to carry. You just grab one of these when you go overlanding, and we get regular 110 electricity, and when you put the two together, it powers the RV, and you can run the air conditioning, the heating, and the oven. So that's the ideal setup for us for electricity. When we're boondocking, we're not plugged in anywhere. Now we are looking to move towards a solar system. We just have been on the go so long, we haven't taken the time to slow down and get solar panels, but we'll do another video showing that. We're going to get bigger batteries in the RV chassis and then hook it up to solar panels on the roof, and then we can be less reliant on the generators.
This is how we fill up the Jennies. On the back of the Jeep here, we've got a 10 US gallon gas tank and a siphon hose. We'll demonstrate how it works.
We're now at the back of the RV. So you can see it's got the reverse camera up there, and then a nice strong ladder here for getting up on the roof, but it's also strong enough, rated for carrying things like you could put a bike rack on there. We've seen people do that. We have what is our Trasharoo bag. Now these are handy, really rugged bags that are designed to be outside. And in here I've got all kinds of things. I think they were originally designed to carry trash, so you don't have to have it inside your vehicle, but they're so handy. I've got extra hoses in there and all kinds of things that have to do with hooking up the RV. So that just gives you more space on the outside. I think trash rear bag's a really good idea. Now here, okay, first you've got, I showed you the side dump for black and gray water, and that goes, that's something you hook up permanently when you're at a camp. But you can also just go to RV parks and dump, or there's dump stations sometimes at rest stops or whatever. So there's an extra hose back here for doing that. That's kind of a handy little feature. So it would be an incomplete story of telling you how we live on the road with 5 people in the small 24J vehicle if we didn't tell you about our trailer. Now we have to have a trailer because we have of all the gear we need to carry. And our trailer is actually our Jeep. Now we're gonna put a link here, right here, for a complete tour of our Jeep and how that's all set up. You can click here and check that out. But in the meantime, I'll tell you about this. This is our Blue Ox tow bar. And this is how we tow the Jeep. And we'll show you, we have another video that shows how we hook it up and so on. But the reason I'm telling you that is because with all the gear we have, with 5 people, let's go through it really quickly. We have 5 bikes. So there's definitely not room on the RV for 5 bikes. So we carry them on the Jeep. We have, along with the bikes come riding shoes and helmets. Then we have 5 snowboards. We do have some of the snowboards here, some there, and all the helmets and the snowboard pants and clothing and all that stuff. So think about that, because we're traveling from, we've been in Oregon where one day we're surfing on the beach and 2 days later we're snowboarding up on Mount Hood. So we've got to have all this gear with us. On the Jeep we also have the 5 surfboards. We carried longboards, longboard helmets. We just have so many sports. We're not just traveling as sightseers, we're traveling and doing the sports along the way. For instance, not that long ago we did a 3-day hike into the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Well, then we need hiking shoes, hiking boots, all the hiking gear, walking poles, chairs, cooking equipment, backpacks. So you can just get an idea here of how much sports gear we have, let alone all the other stuff. So having a trailer of some kind is an absolute necessity, and our trailer is the Jeep, and so that's how we do this. Now, it's a big vehicle, and a lot of people, you're probably wondering about weight ratings and all that kind of stuff. I'm not the expert, but I do know that our Jeep now with all the gear on it is probably right at the limit of what's recommended for this vehicle. That tow bar though is rated for 7,500 pounds, and I think the Jeep is around 5,500 or something. So the tow bar can handle it. Now let's talk about the engine. People stop us all the time when we're in parking lots and say, hey, how does that pull that big Jeep? And it pulls it wonderfully, especially when you're going down the freeway. You don't even know it's there. It just pulls it amazing. It's a flat tow. Some people put them up on a dolly, but with a Jeep, you can easily flat tow it. We've gone all the way to Alaska, so up and over all those bumps on the Alaska highway, and we've never had a problem. We did have a windshield break, but that was from a rock from a truck. The only time we've had to unhitch, we've also been up all kinds of mountains. We've gone up Bear Claw Pass, I think it's called, to 11,000 feet, towing the Jeep, and down the other side. One time though, we were going into Jackson Hole, or Jackson, Wyoming, going over the Grand Teton Pass, and that, if you've ever been up there, it just goes up and up and up and up. And we were going in July, and so it was getting a little warm, and I thought, I'm just gonna pull over. I could see the engine starting to really warm up, and we pulled over, we unhitched, and then Carol drove the Jeep over the mountain, and then we hitched up when we got to the other side. That's the only time we've had to do that, and we've been up every imaginable mountain you can think of, from Alaska to Utah to Colorado. So she's an amazing little tow machine, this thing. Okay, now we're on the passenger side of the RV. You've got a little door back here, which is an alternate filling method for your water tank. This one, you just unlock it and put the hose in there. Again, make sure you only use clean, potable water, because that goes right into your drinking water tank and washing and so on. This is another entryway into the cabinet and storage area that's under the master bed in the back, which you saw from the inside. So we have all kinds of stuff in here, bows and whatnot. And these are all locking cabinets. Back here we have another storage cabinet. We keep all kinds of towing and boosting and electrical gear in there, but you can use that for whatever. it is a water-based, waterproof cabinet. So some people put ice and drinks in there, but we've never used it for that. Here we have the generator that I was telling you about. It's a Cummins Onan generator, 3600. If you want the specs, we can link that below somewhere in the description. But this one runs off the propane. The other option is they have a diesel, which runs right off of the diesel tank. And I think I'd probably prefer that if I had a chance to do it again. I'd get the diesel one. Just one source of fuel makes life easy. But it's a great generator. You just start it from inside the cab. You can start it and have it running while you're driving down the road. But when that generator's running, it gives you full 30 amps, so you can run all the big equipment like the air conditioner, the heater, and the ovens. Here you have kind of the back workings of the kitchen. So you've got the water heater, vents, you've got the stove, and the fridge. Now, I've never really done anything under here. This all is it just operates with or without you, but there is a drain if you're winterizing that you can access here. That's how you empty the water heater and make sure that you're fully drained before the winter. Now, we've been using it in the winter for the past couple of years, so we're not winterizing. This section is where we put all our stickers. We love this spot because so many memories. You can just point to anything and it brings back incredible memories. This is Grossmoor National Park in Newfoundland. Here's all the national parks: Yellowstone, the Badlands, Mount Rushmore, Grand Teton Park, Teddy Roosevelt Park. It goes on and on. These vehicles are amazing for getting you around and just seeing the world. This is the US map, and we're looking online. We have to look online. We've been looking around. We can't find the Canadian one, but one by one, it was so much fun putting these stickers on as we toured these amazing places. And a lot of them we've done twice and sometimes 3 times. And I bet you we could go back 4 or 5 times and still not see all the amazing things that the US and Canada has to offer. So this is the last outdoor storage cabinet, and one of the big ones. And in here, we keep our barbecue. So we bought this barbecue, man, it's our second one in the last 2.5 years. We bought this up in Yellowknife, Yukon, Canada. And it's been great for us. Basically, we base our purchase on size restrictions because it has to comfortably fit in here. And it runs off of these little green propane deals, so we store them in there, and our oil and our DEF fluid and other things like that. So it's a very handy cabinet for that. So now we've worked our way all the way around the vehicle, and we're back at the main entranceway. That's the passenger seat in the cab. This is the main entrance into the vehicle. Now you notice when I open the door, the stairs come out automatically. Now there's a feature, and I'll show you in a minute, the panel, but you turn that stairs off when you get to a camp because it would be a pain for that to be going up and down all day as you come in and out. So when I turn off the switch, it stays out, and that works great when you're at a camp. If you start up the vehicle, it'll automatically retract even if you forget to change that switch. So down here we have a couple of things I'm going to show you. This is the switch I just talked about for the stairs. The next one is a switch that's for the coach battery. If I turn off the coach battery, you can notice all the lights and all the electrical in the coach go off. So you can, if you're leaving for a long period of time, that'll make sure the batteries are preserved. And then we got 2 more switches that both have to do with the awning. The first one is to retract or put out the awning, and I'll show you how that works in a minute. And the next one is a wonderful little LED awning light, which makes it very cozy at night. Now up here you've got a really nice stereo system which has 3 speakers, A, B, and C. You can play all 3 at the same time. There's a lot more speakers, 3 areas of speakers. One is for in the cab, one is for up top and in the front, and the third one is for outdoor speakers. So it makes this a really fun area to entertain and play some music and relax. So you could play CDs, you can Bluetooth your phone, which is probably the most popular way of doing it. It also has an AM/FM radio. This is also a DVD player which plays on the TV above. Now, RVing and traveling is all about having cozy family times, and this awning is a big part of that. It's a great sunshade if you're in the desert and it's really hot. It's also perfectly fine for heavy rainfalls. One thing you got to do though when it's raining hard, I'll show you over here, you can collapse down the one side so that you don't get all the water building up on top and it runs off. away from the RV. So you just push this little button in here and you collapse it down. There's one, you can go 2, you can go 3, you can go 4. So we've been in absolute torrential rain and the water's running that way and we're high and dry under the canopy. So I'm gonna put it back up for you, which is where you'd have it just on a regular day. Another thing to keep in mind about this is the way they've designed it is it flexes like I'm doing here and it goes up and down, so it can handle a certain amount of wind. Now when it gets windy, I highly recommend you bring it in, but it does handle some decent breezes because it's flexible, and so that's something to keep in mind. But when the wind is cranking, get this thing in quick or it'll go, it'll blow off on you. And we've been through all kinds of weather. We haven't had a problem, but we crank it in. Now you'll be tempted to use these as a wonderful clothes hanger for drying your clothes, and we used to do that a lot. We'd go to the beach, or we'd get our towel wet, we'd hang it up here. Just one warning when you do that, we had the towels drying on here, and then at night it was dark, the wind picked up, we thought we better pull in the awning, so from the inside we hit the switch and started bringing the awning in, and the towels were still here, and so they got pinched in this little arm and they bent this arm a little bit. So luckily we didn't do any major damage, but that's something to keep in mind if you're using that. So let's pull it in now. So it's all automated from the inside. You hit the switch. You see a lot of RVers struggling. Some of them are hand cranks, some they have to get 2 or 3 people to put their awning out. Not in this case, you just hit a button and it reels it up nice and neat for you. And same putting it out. All right, so this is our living space area. So people often ask me, how do you live with 5 people in such a small area? Well, the reality is that the vehicle is not where we live. We actually live outside. We have all this outdoor living space. We have a small house, a huge backyard. Our backyard are the mountains of Alaska and the canyons of Utah and so on. So we spend more time outside mountain biking, surfing, snowboarding, doing all these activities than we do spending time inside. Inside is really for transporting us to the next adventure. Inside is for sleeping, and it's a perfect bunkhouse, and it's a very efficient transportation vehicle. But as far as living, we do that outside. So one thing you can do, which is very easy, you buy one of these mats. We got it at Camping World, I think. It's a reversible patio mat. It's been one of the most handy things we have. It folds up very small. As soon as we get to a camp spot and start setting up, this mat comes out, and then no matter what you're dealing with, it's nice and clean. You can sweep it off and you can set up your chairs, and it makes a very comfortable little spot, day or night, to hang out as a family. But it also doubles as our gym. And as you know, when you're on the road for a long time, you gotta have some way of keeping in shape. And so I'm going to ask Pete, my son, Pete Jr., to come in and talk about how this doubles as his gym on the go.
Here's our gym on the road. As you know, when you're traveling, space is of the utmost importance. So we've chosen a bunch of different workout things that take up minimal space while providing you with a full body workout. So what we normally have is on the back of the RV, we have a TRX workout system hanging off the back, which you can use just your own body weight to do multiple different workouts, and it only packs up into a little bag this big, so it takes up very little space. Some other things that we use, is my personal favorite, is the Rogue sandbag. All you do is fill this bag up with some sand to whatever weight you desire, and you can do multiple different workouts, and it's super good for you. We also have a tiny skip rope, which is really great. I actually don't do skip roping, but it's just super good for you, and it is very tiny. We also have an assortment of different weights of dumbbells and kettlebells, which we use for different workouts as well, and a medicine ball. While traveling, you have to utilize some normal house things, such as a cooler, and we use that to do bench presses, step ups, and kickbacks, and multiple different workouts, and it works super well actually for traveling and working out on the road. As you may or may not know, I am a type 1 diabetic. And one of my passions is staying fit and healthy while on the road. Stay tuned on our YouTube channel because I'll be posting videos soon on our health, wellness, and workout regimen.
We really hope you enjoyed part 2 of our RV tour and walk around video. Hope you found it informative. We're going to try to do more product videos, explanation videos, informational videos, so that you, if you're planning to do a road trip, whether it's 2.5 years or 2.5 weeks, or even 2 days, you're going to find this as a valuable resource for all your family road trip questions. And in the meantime, we'll see you down the road.